Hello. In this session, we're going to focus on a restorative practice just to help calm the body down and or to feel your joint alignment. It's going to be really nice to experience. I do recommend that you have done at least a little bit of walking or some gentle movements. It should not be the first, you don't want to roll out of bed and just do this practice. Some movement is helpful just to get circulation through your system in general. But that's it. You will need a little bit of props. I recommend 2 small towels, maybe a pillow, some kind of a strap that's adjustable. I don't recommend an elastic strap, something that does not give that you can adjust to a certain position. Yoga strap is great. And some soft balloons or rolled towels. You'll also need something to put your legs up on. Now the surface that you're resting on doesn't matter so much as long as you're comfortable. I'm fine on a hard surface, but you might not be. Feel free to put like an exercise mat down. You can do this like on some cushions or pillows, whatever works for you. So the setup, we're gonna do it for 10 minutes, by the way. That's the goal. We'll see what happens. The setup, you're gonna start laying on your back and your legs are up on the bench. Now, the height of the bench does not matter so much. So if your feet are a little higher or a little lower, does not matter. What does matter, surprise, surprise, is that gentle arch to your lower back. Now, the further your thighs are away from your chest, the easier it will be to find that natural arch to your lower back, just like the arch you have to the back of your neck, right? They're not the same size, but the same shape. The back of your neck doesn't touch the floor, your lower back doesn't touch the floor. Your lower back is right where your waist is, right? Between the ribs and back of your hips is your lower back, right where your waist is. Your thigh bones do not have to be perpendicular to the floor for success, right? But you may be more comfortable if your thigh bones are perpendicular to the floor. If your shins have more support on the surface of the chair, you'll be more comfortable long term. If your shins have less support, you might be less comfortable long term. Those are things to think about. Now, let's say you don't have something that works for you. Maybe the height of whatever you have, it's just big, tall, away from the floor. You can add some cushions or pillows, cushions underneath you, one against the other, to elevate the floor surface to the height of the chair. Right? Conversely, if you don't have anything high enough, you could add that same cushion to the top of whatever you have to make that surface higher for you, right? So work that out for yourselves. You want a place ideally where your legs feel comfortable and supported, and they don't feel like it's any sort of tension there, where you focus on really keeping them there with a lot of effort. Now, once you find that place, you can always hit pause. We're gonna add some other props. I have 2 different balloons here because if I was more petite in size, I'd use a smaller balloon. I'm around 6 foot, so I'm going to use a slightly larger. Something soft between your knees is really great. Right? Now, you're going to take the strap or whatever you're using around your legs. If you have a buckle, you can unbuckle it, or just slip your legs through it. And then put your balloon between your thighs. And you're going to shorten that, whatever it is that you're using, to a comfortable length, just so that your thighs can rest against the band holding you here. If this was an elastic band, that is okay, but that can often pull your legs together too much, and it's hard to feel comfortable doing that for a lot of people. Now, you can also choose a yoga block or something else between your shin bones there, just so that you can feel that your shin bones don't get to fall away from each other. So I need to tighten my yoga strap a little more to pull my thighs closer together, so that my shin bones can rest a little closer together naturally, because they kind of want to fall away from each other. Right? Now, once I've got that set up, I'm going to refocus my attention to my lower back. Can I feel that lower back having a space away from the floor, just like the back of my neck? If you move your hips further away from the chair or whatever you're using, you'll find it's easier to feel your lower back, and that will decrease the angle of your thigh bone relative to the floor. So it won't be like a column, it won't be perpendicular, it'll be more at an angle, and that is totally fine. Find the position that works for you. Getting toward perpendicular is great for circulation, but it doesn't really matter that much. Now, I'm going to put a towel under my lower back, just a small towel. That's going to help me be aware that I want my back of the hips on the floor and my ribs on the floor, and then the towel is right where my waist is, right where my lower back is. I want to think of allowing that part of my body to not be pressing down to the floor the whole time. Because there's a tendency to think of pressing your lower back to the floor as being restorative, but actually restorative has a natural curve to it because that's what your lower back has. I'm also going to take a towel, all these props I know, behind my head. If the towel doesn't feel enough for you, you can also use a pillow to elevate your head higher. And if it doesn't feel good over time, you can also make the pillow lower and use a towel. Or if you're using a towel and go higher over time, you can just fold it up as you need to. Now, I know that's a lot of stuff. Something else you can use here would be props for your arms to rest on. So I can rest my arms on 2 towels. If I feel like having my arms on the floor pinches my shoulders together too far forward towards my breastbone, elevating my arms off the floor will help the front of my shoulders release. Right? You can always hit pause. It's a lot of setup, I get it. I'm going to start my timer here when we're ready. Right? And again, you can always hit pause. And then come join me when you're ready. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1 for 10 minutes. That's the goal. And we're just going to be here resting. Let your head rest. Let your eyes look up to the sky or down towards your thighs a little bit. Either is great. Breathe. Feel the back of your body making contact with the floor. Breathing fully. Inhale, exhale. Just make sure you keep breathing and be aware that you're trying to not hold on to your breath. If you feel that your shin bones have walked away from that balloon or ball, just walk your ankles closer together and that will help. Again, your feet might rotate out a little bit. That's fine. We're just going to be here resting. We're not going to move too much of anything, but we're going to move our ankles as we go along a little bit later. Things to think about here. Is my lower back having that natural arch, or am I really pushing against that towel behind me? You should be able to move your towel a little bit, just a little bit, side to side, easily. If you can't move it at all, that means you're putting too much pressure on it, perhaps, right? You can always make your towel a little bit thinner, unfold it, until you get the size that you feel works best for you, right? If you had a towel under your neck, you can pull it much easier because the arch to your neck is much larger than the arch to your lower back. They're not the same size, but they are a similar shape. Easy. Breathe. Now, can you think about relaxing the front of your shoulders, right? So the front of your shoulders and the front of your body. Breathing deeply. Can you think of breathing and melting the front of your shoulders away from each other like butter softening in the sun? Can they release more? Maybe you have to take your arms further out to the side. Maybe your palms have to face up to allow that to happen. And again, elevating your arms off the floor on soft towels or something will help your shoulder girdles release. You can support on your elbow to your forearm, anything like that would be more comfortable. Now, your hands may not be even on the floor. That's okay. So one might be rotating one way, one the other. That's fine. Focus most specifically on the front of your shoulders, feeling like they can just release and let go. And you can adjust your forearms as you go along. Easy. And again, back of the hips on the floor, back of the ribs on the floor. Between the back of your hips and the back of your ribs is your lower back. It should have a natural arch. You're not trying to create the arch there by pressing your tailbone to the floor and arching more. That's not what I'm asking you to do. More adjusting your legs to thigh bones to be further away from you will help that arch just be present naturally. It's not something that you're trying to hold in space. You're trying to relax here as much as you can so that your joints can fall in the most appropriate place for you. Now, something else you might notice is that your legs and knees want to point over to one side specifically. Don't worry about it. Don't freak out. It's okay. Something you can do. So my knees right now are angling towards the camera. I can try pushing my heels against the bench and shifting my hips towards the camera a little bit, and that will help that sensation. I may have to adjust my ribs and or shoulders after that, or I may not, right? It just means that your pelvis has a slight twist to it, and that's okay. No one is perfectly aligned. It's all right. So you want to be aware of, is one thigh pushing over into the other one, right? You can also, if like again, my knees are pointing towards the camera more, I can try moving my feet a little bit towards the camera and see if that helps my knees feel like they're directly stacked over my hips the whole time. Again, it's all right to feel a little bit left to right asymmetrical. You're trying to make things even in your body as much as you can with minimal effort. That's the whole focus here. Easy breathe. If the band is uncomfortable for you, you don't have to use it. You can also put a towel around your legs and a band and then tie a yoga strap around that in case the width of the band is what's bothering you. A thicker cushion between the thigh bones and the band may help alleviate that tension here. Again, over time, you might feel like your body is slowly falling to one side or the other. That is normal. Be mindful of it. Try not to freak out. And just make small adjustments so that you feel that the thigh bones are directly over your hips. Not that they're in a column, but they're directly in line with your hips, I should say. So they're not like a vertical column. They don't have to be. They're just over them directly in some fashion, like they're headlights from the hip bones, which shine out through the center of your knees. No matter where those knees are, they would shine forward and not hip bones forward, knees to one side or the other. Can you relax the front of your shoulders more? Can you allow your tailbone to have more weight to it? Easy breathe. Now we just have something between our legs to keep our thighs a certain distance apart. That's the only reason. Same thing for the balloon between our shins. It's just to help bring awareness to that alignment of hip, knee, ankle being in one line. Again, as if you had headlights on your hips, your knee and ankle would also be in that same line of shining forward in space. That's the only reason. And again, if you keep feeling like your knees fall over to one side, adjust your feet towards that direction that they're falling towards. That will help. And or adjust your hips. Can you allow your tailbone to reach heavy into the floor and the back of your ribs heavy into the floor so that your lower back has a natural arch to it? You're trying to not press your lower back into the floor here. You're also trying to not create a natural arch by using muscular effort. If over time you feel like your lower back has a decreasing arch, just shimmy your torso away from your chair or block or whatever you're using to rest your legs on. Decreasing the angle of thigh towards your hip will help your lower back have more of that natural arch without effort. Can you let the back of your head release more to the floor behind you? Breathing. Allow yourself to feel like the floor is slowly, slowly, slowly absorbing you. You are gently falling backwards in space through the floor, and the floor is slowly, slowly creeping up around you, but there's no sense of suffocation, panic, or flight. It's just a gentle, gentle melding and molding. Easy. Breathe. Head resting. Over time, you may notice that your nose and chin feeling like they're falling away from your breastbone. If that is you, you could bring the back of your skull away from your back of your neck more to allow your chin to come more towards your collarbone naturally. You can also fold up your towel a little more and make sure your head's resting on the back of your head's resting on it specifically, and that will help decrease that sense of your nose and chin falling away from your breastbone and thigh bones, right? You're trying to not let your head and your nose and chin fall away from your breast and thigh bones. They're trying to fall backwards into the floor behind you, and those are different sensations. So it's not one of nose and chin lifting. It's one of head and whole body sinking backwards into the floor behind you. And again, is one thigh bone pressing more into the other one, right? Adjust those feet, adjust your hips as you need to. If the back of whatever your legs are resting on is pushing too much into like the back of your calf, you can put a towel, all these towels, right? You're using all the props today. You can put a nice pad or towel where your back of your body is contacting that surface to make that less aggressive. Or you can think, that's kind of like a massage, and that can be a nice feeling as long as it's not too intense for you. If it's so intense that you can't not think about it, you may want to add some more proppage there. You can always hit pause. You can always readjust, right? And then hit start to continue going. Your eyes can be open or closed. Both work really well. Can you let go of more parts of your body, right? So if your legs are fighting to stay in that line with the hips, can you adjust? I think we're going to go for 5 minutes more because we're just getting into this. Who knew, right? And this is part of the reason I recommend that you did some walking first, or washing dishes, or making your bed, something gentle and daily, because we're in this position for a while. It's helpful to have moved a bit first, so your body can be more accepting of positions that you're going to hold for a while, because it actually can be on the intense side. So where was I? Oh yeah. Can you scan your body more? Are you holding on to tension somewhere? Is some part of your body trying to hold your body up? Take your mind there. What would it take to release that tension? Can you shift something in your bone structure, maybe hips left or right, maybe hips and torso further away from your chair, or whatever your legs are resting on, to help you? You don't want to feel like you're trying to fight to stay here. You want to feel supported so that you can release. That sense of knowing how to be able to release your body is really important. But it implies that you're able to identify what is tensionful in the first place. If you have a hard time identifying what is tensionful, it's hard to know how to address it. And that's why this kind of practice is really, really beneficial to have. Because once you're able to identify tension in one part of your body, it's a little bit easier to feel it and acknowledge it in a completely different area. Specifically when you're trying to relax and be supported, it's more easier, I wouldn't say that, it's easier to feel the parts that have tension or that are working when you're trying to encourage your body to just release and feel support. Breathing. Keep inhaling and exhaling. Can you relax the front of your shoulders and your cheekbones more away from each other? Can you think of the left to right side of your forehead melding away from each other? Not like melting flesh, but like a calm sense of release. I should say the tension in your face left to right is melting away from the center line. Not your flesh and sinew melting away from bones. That wasn't quite it I was going for. No horror show, no horror movie imagery. Unless that works for you. If that works for you, go with it. Again, over time, you might feel like your head and chin are falling backwards away from your breastbone and thigh bones. That's not quite the sensation we're looking for. We're looking for your whole head and face to be falling backwards to the floor, not your head and chin to be tilting away from your breastbone, thigh bone. If that's what you feel like is happening to you, you can physically use your arms to help you pull your chin towards your chest more, back of your skull away from the back of your neck more, so that your face angles downward toward your thighs a little bit. Easy. You can also try folding up your towel a little higher again. You might find that that support feels really luscious and not so aggressive. Easy, breathe. Can you feel the back of your hips and back of your head being absorbed slowly by the floor? Width across the front of your shoulders as the tension releases away from your center line, left to right. Breathe. Easy. Take your time. All right. Now, feel free to stay there if you're in a groove. You can set your own personal timer for another 5 minutes if you've just found your groove, meaning you finally feel that you're not working to stay in the position. Again, it can take a good 10 minutes just to feel that, as we went over already, right? Just allowing yourself to feel your body and then trying to acknowledge, hey, what's working? I don't want things to be working here. I want things to feel supported, right? Getting to that place can take a bit of time. So once you get to that place, you can then start your timer and say, okay, 10 minutes from now. And then keep scanning your body. Did tension slowly creep up over time? Can you release it? Do you need to adjust something, shifting your bones, moving your joints a bit, and then letting them resettle in a supported position? But I keep talking and I never come out of here. If your eyes are closed, I recommend slowly opening them, taking deeper breaths, or changing your breath pattern. If you are taking shallower breaths, start to make them longer. If you're taking deeper breaths, try making them shorter. Easy. It's a nice, gentle way to change your perspective. You can try opening your eyes slowly and then closing, open them, close them slowly, or a little fast like butterfly wings, that's fine. You can wiggle your fingers and toes as well. Easy, gently. You can try rotating your palms to the floor and then away from the floor. You can try making nice little circles with your feet as well, letting your head rest. Again, we're just trying to tell our body we're going to get up now, but you don't want to just tumble out of here, right? You just found a nice position of no tension and ease. So let's be gentle and mindful about how we come out of there. Now, you can try walking your fingertips towards you and away from you, letting your elbows bend, and allow your shoulders to move as well as that happens. Just still circling the ankle joints, trying to get circulation into our extremities. Easy. You can bend your hands up to your shoulders and then back down to the floor, still circling ankle joints. Hands towards you and then down towards the floor. Easy breathe. That's right. Then you can bring your hands to you, then you can reach your arms up to the sky. Then elbows to the floor and arms down. Hands to you, elbows up to the sky. Elbows to the floor and back down. Hands to you, elbows straight and hands up to the sky. And then arms back down. And then hands to you, arms to the sky. Then take your hands to your thighs. You can walk your feet towards you. Whatever falls to the floor is fine. You have many options here, right? If the band's too tight, you can fiddle and try and loosen it so that you can remove the prop between your legs. Then you take 1 foot down, and then 2 feet down, right? The band can stay on your leg. Remove the towel from your lower back. Now, with your feet flat on the floor, it doesn't matter how close or far, can you feel that lower back having a nice supportive arch? A similar shape to the back of your neck, just not as big, right? That supportive arch and being aware of it is a great thing to learn about in your exercise or movement practice, right? It is a good thing to have an arch to your lower back. You don't want to have an excessive arch, right? You want to have the back of your lower ribs and back of your hips resting on the floor, but the space between them should not be on the floor the whole time, right? That arch is a good thing to have. Let your knees twist to one side a bit, and then come center, breathing, then a little bit to the other way, and then come back to center. Don't be so big. Again, just a little one side, the hip's going to lift off the floor and come center. Then the other way, the other hip will lift off the floor. One more each way. Gentle rotate one side, and then the other. Now, let your head fall to the same side as your knees. You twist your knees like windshield wipers, side to side. It's not big. It's not a full range of motion. Just side to side here. Easy breathe. And then when you're ready, you're going to let your knees and feet and hips and shoulders roll over onto one side into a fetal position. You can adjust your hands or grab a pillow to let your head rest. If there's a prop in your way, just move it gently. And just breathe here. Take a few gentle breaths. Again, that was a rather intense practice, even though it didn't look like much. That sensation, that awareness of what has tension, what doesn't, is really quite foundational but also deep. Yeah, great job. Now, you can gently twist your body towards the floor, use your arms and push your body up, or come out of that position in some way that works better for you. Yeah, take your time and acknowledge that, wow, I feel quite different from when I started with. Now you can say that was just the passage of time. Yes, it's about 20 minutes or so. But also, you actually focused on releasing your body, taking your mind to what had tension, what did not, and trying to adjust towards a state of less and less tension and effort. And that's a really good practice to have. Now, I recommend that you take a gentle walk when you're ready, right? Don't go do some big task after this. Let your body warm up for this state so that all of your senses can reestablish their more normalizing patterns. But this is a great thing to do, and you can feel how different you feel and how maybe rested you are. I hope you enjoyed that. My name is Eric. This is Restorative Strength. I look forward to getting stronger with you in the future. Yours in good health. Take care.